She entered the dealership in faded denim and a plain white shirt, inquiring about a premium vehicle. The salesman examined her from head to toe with contempt. "I'm afraid you've wandered into the wrong establishment," he scoffed, motioning toward the door. "These automobiles begin at $300,000. As fellow employees chuckled and patrons observed, her face burned with shame. She departed without uttering a word. The following dawn, a gleaming Rolls-Royce Phantom arrived at the dealership's entrance. When the rear door opened, the salesman's expression transformed to one of complete shock. He never anticipated what was coming. The esteemed Cambridge luxury automobiles gleamed beneath the morning sun. Glass facades displayed an array of exotic vehicles that most individuals could only fantasize about owning: Porsche, Bentley, Aston Martin, Ferrari, each more costly than the previous. Sarah Mitchell, known as Sally to her acquaintances, stepped through the entrance. Her auburn hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, bouncing gently with each stride. Her plain white shirt, well-worn jeans, and minimal cosmetics reflected a woman who prioritized functionality over fashion. At 38, she possessed a quiet self-assurance that emerged from understanding precisely who she was. What wasn't evident from her modest attire was that Sally served as the founder and driving force behind the Mitchell Foundation for Special Needs Children, an organization that had transformed countless young lives. Years before meeting her current husband, she had established the foundation from nothing, investing her passion and expertise in developmental disabilities into creating genuine change. As she entered the showroom, her attention immediately focused on a sleek midnight blue coupe, perfect for her sister's 42nd birthday. Catherine had always fantasized about owning a luxury automobile, and after surviving ovarian cancer the previous year, Sally wanted to present her with something truly extraordinary. She could easily manage the expense. Her foundation's success and personal investments had made her financially comfortable, though few people knew this. Across the showroom, Derek Williams adjusted his crimson tie and straightened his charcoal suit jacket. As sales director, he prided himself on instantly identifying serious purchasers. Upon seeing Sally in her casual clothing, he smirked and nodded to his colleagues. This would be entertaining. "Good morning." Sally smiled at a young salesman named Marcus who approached her. "Welcome to Cambridge Luxury Automobiles. I'm Marcus. Is there something particular you're interested in today?" Before Sally could respond, Derek smoothly intervened. "I'll take care of this, Marcus," he said, then turned to Sally with a practiced smile that failed to reach his eyes. "Searching for directions, miss?" And just like that, Sally's day at the dealership commenced, a day that would alter perspectives for everyone involved. "Actually," Sally replied pleasantly, "I'm interested in that midnight blue coupe." She indicated the $285,000 vehicle displayed on the elevated platform. Derek Williams's smile tightened. He'd witnessed this scenario before. People wandering in to daydream about cars they could never afford. With end-of-month quotas approaching and 3 serious buyers expected that afternoon, he had no time for fantasies. "That's the limited edition Sapphire. Only 12 were manufactured this year," he said, emphasizing each word as if addressing a child. "Perhaps I could direct you to our pre-owned vehicle division. They're located in a separate building approximately 4 blocks north." Sally noticed how his eyes swept over her simple clothing, lingering on her scuffed sneakers. She was accustomed to such judgments. Most people had no idea she deliberately chose this lifestyle, finding freedom and simplicity despite having access to considerable wealth. "I'd really like to learn more about this particular model," she persisted politely. "Is it possible to examine the interior?" Derek's expression soured. Behind him, 2 salesmen exchanged knowing glances. The Sapphire is available by appointment exclusively, he lied smoothly. Our serious clients typically schedule private viewings. Just then, a couple dressed in designer attire entered. Derek's demeanor transformed instantly. "Please excuse me," he said to Sally without actually looking at her. "Why don't you take a brochure? Marcus can assist you with that." He strode toward the couple, arms outstretched. "Welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Henderson. Wonderful to see you again." Marcus, the younger salesman, approached Sally with an apologetic smile. He couldn't be more than 27, and his suit seemed a size too large. "I'm sorry about that," he said quietly. "Would you like me to tell you about the Sapphire?" "I would, thank you," Sally replied. As Marcus enthusiastically described the vehicle's features, Sally noticed Derek leading the well-dressed couple directly to the Sapphire. He opened the door with flourish, inviting Mrs. Henderson to sit inside. The same car he'd claimed was appointment only. "That's quite all right," Sally assured the now uncomfortable Marcus. "I understand how these things work." Across the showroom, Derek was performing his well-rehearsed sales routine. "This particular model has a waiting list of 6 months, but I've reserved one for special clients." Mrs. Henderson ran her hand along the leather interior. "It's exquisite, but I'm uncertain about the color." "We could certainly discuss custom options," Derek assured her. Sally approached quietly, standing just within earshot. "Excuse me," she said. "I was hoping to inquire about purchasing this model." Derek's face reddened. "As I mentioned earlier, this vehicle is being shown to these customers," he said with barely contained irritation. "Perhaps you could return another time, or, as I suggested, check our pre-owned options." The couple looked uncomfortably between Derek and Sally. "I'm specifically interested in this car," Sally stated calmly, "for my sister's birthday next month." Derek stepped away from the Hendersons, lowering his voice. "Look, I understand people like to dream, but this is a place of business. That vehicle will cost more than most houses. Now, I've been patient, but you're interrupting a legitimate sale." Several nearby customers had stopped to watch the uncomfortable exchange. Marcus hovered anxiously at the periphery. "I'm prepared to make a cash purchase today," Sally said, maintaining her composure. That was when Derek's professional veneer completely cracked. He laughed, a short, harsh sound that echoed across the showroom floor. Several heads turned. "A cash purchase? Really?" His voice was louder now, designed to humiliate. "This isn't a garage sale. We're discussing $250,000. People who can afford these cars don't dress like—" He gestured dismissively at her outfit. Sally felt her cheeks flush, not from embarrassment but from a slow-building anger. Not for herself. She'd experienced such treatment before, but for anyone who had ever been judged by their appearance. "I believe my money is as good as anyone else's," she said quietly. Derek stepped closer, towering over her. "Let me be clear," he said, no longer bothering to hide his disdain. "You are wasting my time and embarrassing yourself. Either make an appointment for a serious discussion, dressed appropriately, or please leave the premises." The showroom had gone silent. The Hendersons had stepped away from the car, visibly uncomfortable. "Is there a problem here?" A new voice joined the conversation. The dealership's owner, Robert Kane, attracted by the commotion. Derek straightened his tie. "No problem, sir, just explaining to this lady that we operate by appointment for serious buyers." Robert Kane assessed the situation quickly, taking in Sally's simple appearance and the watching crowd. His expression made it clear which side he was taking. "I see," he said. "Miss Collins," Sally supplied. "Sarah Collins." Miss Collins, perhaps there's been a misunderstanding. Our clientele typically, well, they understand the exclusivity of our vehicles." "I understand perfectly," Sally replied, her voice steady, despite the humiliation burning in her chest. "Your sales director has made your policies quite clear." Derek stepped forward again, his voice dripping with condescension. "If you're genuinely interested, which I doubt, you can call for an appointment. But I'd suggest bringing proof of funds and dressing the part. These cars," he gestured around the showroom, "are for a certain class of people." A murmur rippled through the onlookers. Someone snickered. Sally looked around at the judging faces, at Derek's smug expression, at the owner's tacit approval of his employees' behavior. She'd faced discrimination before, but rarely so blatantly, so publicly. "I see," she said simply. With dignity intact but spirits bruised, she turned and walked toward the exit. Behind her, she heard Derek's voice. Not quite quiet enough. Some people just don't know their place. As she pushed through the glass doors into the morning sunlight, Sally pulled out her phone. The humiliation stung, but a small, resolute smile formed on her lips as she dialed. The Mitchell estate sat on 7 quiet acres outside Cambridge, its understated elegance revealing nothing of the billions behind its ownership. Jonathan Mitchell preferred it that way. At 43, the technology visionary had revolutionized artificial intelligence applications, building a fortune while maintaining a deliberately low profile. When Sally entered his home office, Jonathan looked up from his desk, immediately setting aside his work. 17 years of marriage had taught him to read her expressions with precision. Something was wrong. "What happened?" he asked, moving around the desk to meet her. Sally sank into a leather chair, the morning's events washing over her anew. "It was educational," she said with a wry smile that didn't reach her eyes. She recounted the experience at the dealership, the condescension, the humiliation, the blatant discrimination. As she spoke, Jonathan's expression darkened, but he remained silent, giving her space to process. "It's not about me," she concluded. "I have the privilege of walking away knowing the truth. But how many people get treated that way every day without the comfort of knowing they actually could afford what they're being denied?" Jonathan nodded thoughtfully. In their years together, this was what had always moved him most about Sally, her consistent concern for others, even when she herself had been wronged. "So, what would you like to do about it?" he asked finally. "Part of me wants to do nothing," she admitted. "Just buy Catherine's gift and elsewhere. But then I think about that young salesman Marcus, who treated me with respect regardless of how I was dressed. And I think about all the people who face that kind of judgment without having any recourse." She looked directly at Jonathan. "These people need to understand that worth isn't determined by appearance. But I don't want vengeance, I want awareness." Jonathan nodded slowly, a plan forming. "I think I might have an idea that accomplishes both." "Nothing too dramatic," Sally warned, knowing her husband's protective instincts. "No buying the dealership and firing everyone," Jonathan laughed. "Nothing so cliché, but maybe—" He leaned forward, eyes twinkling. "A little education is in order." Together they crafted a plan, not for revenge, but for enlightenment, something that might change perspectives more effectively than simple retribution. "Are you sure you don't want to come along?" Jonathan asked when they'd finalized the details. Sally shook her head. "This isn't about me needing to witness their comeuppance. It's about them learning to see beyond appearances." She paused, then added with a smile, "But I expect a full report." As evening settled over their home, Jonathan made several phone calls, setting things in motion for the following morning. Tomorrow would bring a powerful lesson in humility and the danger of assumptions, not just for Derek Williams, but for everyone at Cambridge Luxury Automobiles. The following morning arrived with picture-perfect weather. Derek Williams entered Cambridge Luxury Automobiles with a confident stride, straightening his signature crimson tie. Yesterday's incident with the underdressed woman had become an amusing anecdote he'd shared over drinks with colleagues, another delusional dreamer thinking she belonged in the world of luxury. The showroom gleamed under carefully positioned lights, exotic cars arranged strategically to maximize their allure. Derek had just finished the morning staff meeting, emphasizing the importance of qualifying customers properly. Remember, he'd instructed the sales team, our time is valuable. We cater to a specific clientele. It's not elitism, it's efficiency. Marcus, the young salesman, had remained quiet during the meeting, his discomfort evident. Derek made a mental note to have a word with him about proper customer assessment. At precisely 10:23 a.m., the distinctive purr of an exceptional engine drew attention outside. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, a vehicle unlike any other glided to a stop directly in front of the main entrance. Conversations halted mid-sentence. Even Derek, typically unimpressed by luxury vehicles given his daily proximity to them, felt his pulse quicken. A Rolls-Royce Phantom extended wheelbase, but not just any Phantom. This was a custom model with a unique midnight blue finish that seemed to shift colors in the sunlight. Conservative estimates would place its value north of $1.3 million. Is that? Robert Kane, the owner, had emerged from his office, drawn by the sudden silence. The bespoke Phantom, Derek confirmed, already moving toward the entrance. Extremely rare configuration. A uniformed chauffeur exited the Rolls-Royce and walked around to open the rear passenger door with white-gloved precision. From the vehicle emerged a man of commanding presence. Tall, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit that whispered rather than shouted its five-figure price tag. His salt-and-pepper hair was perfectly groomed, his posture effortlessly authoritative. Derek's salesman instincts kicked into overdrive. This was beyond a good prospect. This was the kind of client dealerships competed for, the kind whose purchases included not just one vehicle but potentially an ongoing relationship worth millions. "Good morning, sir." "Welcome to Cambridge Luxury Automobiles," Derek called out, intercepting the distinguished visitor before any other salesperson could approach. "Derek Williams, sales director. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today." The man regarded Derek with an unreadable expression, then offered a polite smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Jonathan Mitchell," he replied simply, offering a firm handshake. Derek's mind raced. The name sounded vaguely familiar, but he couldn't immediately place it. Regardless, the Rolls-Royce spoke volumes about the man's financial status. "Mr. Mitchell, it's truly an honor. What brings you to our humble establishment today? Perhaps I could show you our newest arrivals. We just received a limited edition." Jonathan raised a hand slightly, halting Derek's practiced pitch. "Actually, I'm here about a specific vehicle, the Sapphire Coupe, midnight blue." Derek's smile broadened. "Excellent choice, sir. One of only 12 produced this year. I'd be delighted to show you. It's actually right over." "I know where it is," Jonathan interrupted smoothly. "My wife was here yesterday, expressing interest in it." Derek's customer service smile remained fixed, though confusion flickered in his eyes. "Your wife? I don't recall. Perhaps one of my colleagues assisted her?" Jonathan's expression cooled noticeably. "No, Mr. Williams, you assisted her. Or rather, you refused to assist her. Sarah Collins. She was wearing jeans and a white shirt. You suggested she might be more comfortable looking at pre-owned cars." The blood drained from Derek's face as realization dawned. Behind him, he heard a small gasp from Marcus, who had been hovering nearby. "Mr. Mitchell, Derek stammered, his usual smooth delivery abandoning him. "There must be some misunderstanding. We welcome all customers here." By now, Robert Kane had approached, sensing a situation developing. "Is everything all right, Derek?" Jonathan turned his attention to the owner. "Mr. Kane, I presume?" "Robert Kane, yes indeed. Welcome to Cambridge Luxury Automobiles." "Thank you. I was just explaining to Mr. Williams that my wife visited yesterday, interested in purchasing the Sapphire Coupe as a gift for her sister. She was, however, treated in a manner that I find troubling." Robert's expression shifted rapidly from welcoming to concerned. I'm sorry to hear that. I believe I was briefly involved in a conversation, but I wasn't aware of all the details." Jonathan nodded thoughtfully. "The details include your sales director here suggesting that people like her don't belong in an establishment like this based solely on her casual attire." By now, a small crowd had gathered. Other salespeople, support staff, and even a few early customers. The showroom had gone completely silent. "Mr. Mitchell," Derek began, desperation creeping into his voice, "if there was any misunderstanding—" "It wasn't a misunderstanding," Marcus suddenly spoke up. All eyes turned to the young salesman, who looked surprised at his own courage. "Mrs. Collins was treated poorly. She was polite and specific about her interest in the Sapphire, and she was dismissed repeatedly based on her appearance." Derek shot Marcus a withering look, but the damage was done. Jonathan turned back to Robert Kane. "You know, it's interesting. My wife founded and runs the Mitchell Foundation for Special Needs Children. It's been her life's work since before I met her. She's raised over $60 million for specialized medical equipment and educational programs." He paused, letting this sink in. "Sally chooses to dress simply because she believes in living modestly despite our means. She finds it keeps her connected to the families she helps. It's one of the countless reasons I love her." Robert Kane had gone pale. "Mr. Mitchell, I assure you this does not reflect the values of our dealership. We pride ourselves on—" "Actions speak louder than mission statements, Mr. Kane," Jonathan interrupted firmly. "Now, regarding the Sapphire, I'm not here to purchase just one vehicle." Derek perked up slightly at this, a glimmer of professional hope breaking through his distress. "I was planning to purchase the Sapphire for my wife's sister, as Sally intended, but I was also considering a fleet replacement for our corporate vehicles, 9 in total, and my personal collection could use updating as well." Kane's eyes widened. A sale of that magnitude would exceed their quarterly targets in a single transaction. "However," Jonathan continued, "I find myself questioning whether this is the right establishment for such a significant investment." The silence in the showroom was absolute. Derek looked physically ill. "Mr. Mitchell," Robert began desperately, "I cannot apologize enough for this unfortunate incident. I assure you this is not how we conduct business. Please allow us to make this right." Jonathan considered this for a moment. "Perhaps there is a way forward," he said finally, "but it would require more than just selling me cars." "Anything," Robert assured him quickly. "The Mitchell Foundation is hosting a benefit gala next month. We're raising funds for a new adaptive technology center for children with developmental disabilities." He turned to the mortified sales director. "Derek, I think your presence would be educational." Derek swallowed hard. "Sir?" "Not as a guest," Jonathan clarified. "As a volunteer. The foundation is always looking for people to help with setup, to assist the children, to see firsthand the work being done." The implications were clear. This wasn't just about selling cars anymore. It was about learning a fundamental lesson in human value. Additionally, Jonathan continued, addressing Robert Kane, the dealership might consider implementing a training program on unconscious bias. I know several excellent consultants. Robert nodded emphatically. Absolutely, we would welcome such an initiative. As for the vehicles, Jonathan turned to Marcus, the young salesman who had spoken up. I'd like you to handle all the paperwork, starting with the Sapphire for my sister-in-law. Marcus's eyes widened. Me? Thank you, sir. I'd be honored. Good, Jonathan said with finality. Now, shall we discuss the specifics of the corporate fleet? As they moved toward Kane's office, Jonathan paused in front of the Sapphire, running his hand along its sleek contour. My wife has excellent taste, doesn't she? Behind them, Derek Williams stood motionless, his perfect world fundamentally altered. The harsh truth had finally dawned on him. He had revealed his character not by how he treated those he thought important, but by how he treated those he believed were not. 1 month later, the Mitchell Foundation Benefit Gala transformed the Grand Cambridge Hotel into a celebration of possibility. Children with various developmental disabilities and their families mingled with donors, medical professionals, and supporters. Near the entrance, Derek Williams, dressed not in his usual attire but in the event staff uniform, directed guests and assisted a young girl with autism navigate the crowded space. The past month had changed him profoundly. His volunteer work at the foundation had started as an obligation, the price of professional survival. But something unexpected had happened as he witnessed the challenges these children faced daily and the dignity with which they met them. Across the room, Sally Mitchell, elegant in a simple navy dress, approached him. Despite knowing who she was now, Derek was struck again by her lack of pretension. "How are you finding the experience, Derek?" she asked. He considered the question seriously. "Humbling," he finally answered, "and necessary." Sally nodded. "Emma seems to have taken a liking to you," she observed, referring to the girl with autism he'd been helping. "She's teaching me about adaptive communication," Derek admitted. "Apparently, I have terrible listening skills." This drew a genuine laugh from Sally. "She's an honest teacher." Derek's expression grew serious. "Mrs. Mitchell, I know I've apologized formally, but I need to say it directly. I'm truly sorry for how I treated you. There's no excuse." "You're right, there isn't," she agreed, but without malice. "The question is what you've learned. That worth isn't determined by appearance, position, or possessions," he said thoughtfully, "and that everyone deserves respect until they prove otherwise, not the other way around." "Good lessons," Sally acknowledged. "Expensive ones, too, I imagine." Derek nodded ruefully, thinking of the substantial business the dealership had lost when Jonathan Mitchell decided to purchase only the Sapphire and not the additional fleet. "Worth every penny," he replied sincerely. Across the room, Jonathan joined them, placing a gentle hand on his wife's shoulder. "Derek was just sharing some of his insights," Sally explained. Jonathan nodded. "I hear you've become quite involved with the adaptive technology program." "Yes, sir. In fact, I've signed up to continue volunteering after my required period." He hesitated, then added, "And I've been working with Mr. Kane on revamping our customer approach at the dealership. No more qualifying by appearance." "I'm glad to hear it," Jonathan said, then surprised Derek by adding, "Which reminds me, that corporate fleet I mentioned, we're still in the market. Perhaps you could handle that transaction. Marcus speaks highly of how you've been mentoring him." Derek's expression registered shock before settling into genuine gratitude. "I would be honored, Mr. Mitchell, truly honored." Later that evening, as the event wound down, Derek watched Sally and Jonathan Mitchell working the room, not flaunting their wealth or influence, but connecting genuinely with each child and family. He reflected on how completely his perception had been transformed. A month ago, he would have dismissed someone like Sally Mitchell based on her casual appearance. Now he understood that true value ran deeper than designer labels, luxury cars, or executive titles. As Derek helped Emma back to her wheelchair after a photo session, the girl grinned up at him. "You know what, Mr. Derek? You're pretty cool for a grown-up." Derek smiled. "Coming from you, Emma, that's the highest compliment I've received in a very long time," and he meant it. We all make judgments based on appearances, don't we? But as Derek Williams discovered, looking beyond the surface can reveal extraordinary people and life-changing opportunities. The true measure of wealth has nothing to do with your bank account. It's about how you treat others when you think no one important is watching. Have you ever been judged by your appearance or misjudged someone based on how they looked? Share your story in the comments below. We'd love to hear your experiences and how they've shaped your perspective. Hit that like button if this story resonated with you. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiring tales that uncover powerful life lessons and the true meaning of value.